All right, hello and welcome everybody. So, got an inspirational idea today, and I was listening to this book. It's called Mastery by Robert Greene. I highly recommend it. Where he goes through the life of he goes through the life of like tons of scientists, artists, creatives, business minds, all sorts of different people, and looks at how they did something spectacular that they became known as some sort of master of. And one of the things and ideas that came out of this was the 10,000 hour rule. So if you don't know what the 10,000 hour rule is, if you haven't heard of it, it's basically this idea that's been researched, but nobody has scientifically proven it yet necessarily. But it's this idea that people can basically get good at anything. They can become a master of anything once they've reached roughly 10,000 hours of work on anything. 10,000 hours. And when we hear that number, it sounds like a lot. But if we really break it down, the average person, let's just say living 80 years, taking 8 hours out for sleep, 10 hours out for work and other things, which would be 8 hours of work plus 2 hours for other things, leaves people with roughly 6 hours a day. Now, obviously, there's all sorts of other things that could take up those 6 hours of free time for the average person, which can include eating, traveling, all those things. But at the end of the day, with those 6 hours, the average person can potentially master 17.5 different things. Now, scarily, we all don't start from the moment we're born, so you subtract another 20 years off of that, say like 20 years to become an adult and kind of like figure yourself out, then you've only got about 60 years left, which means most people can potentially master an average of about 13 things, which is pretty amazing to me. Still pretty amazing. I mean, even if you were to do half of that, if you were to master just 6 or 7 things in your entire life, that would be pretty spectacular. Whether it be creative, mastering yourself, mastering your relationship with your family, mastering your relationship with your church, your religion, whatever it is that you practice, mastering your cooking skills, mastering your people skills, mastering your comedic timing, mastering your ability to design, to be an architect, your ability to do surgery, write, all these things. And there's this idea that you can find mastery over 10,000 hours. Now, of course, there's all sorts of things that can pop in, but all sorts of things. And, some things can be mastered probably quicker now, especially if you have the guidance of an expert, someone who's already a master, not just a master themselves, but someone that can also teach what they do easily. So, 10,000 hours is just one of those numbers that they found like back in ancient times, ancient history, that may or may not be relevant today. Personally, I'm of the school of belief that that can really be sped up with the right mentors, the right guidance, the right tools. Just imagine, this rule was kind of developed back in like the 1400s, and this 10,000 hour rule was developed back in like the 1400s or something, back in the days of the Renaissance, when artists would basically spend 10,000 hours just learning as an apprentice or whatever. And they didn't have pictures to study. They only had like one master for the majority of their life. And when I say master, I don't mean like, master and whatever. I mean like master as a mentor, a guide, someone who was known as a highly skilled artisan back in the day. But you know what? They didn't have books. They didn't have resources. They didn't have YouTube. They didn't have search engines. They didn't have all those things. And that's part of why I think the 10,000 hour rule, people can master a lot more things nowadays. But of course, the things that get in our way, being busy, preparing food, work, self-discovery, meditation, cooking, all these other things can definitely put a damper in your approach toward mastery. But you just gotta calculate the hours. Maybe someone out there will only be able to master one thing their entire life, but making the decision to do so can be a challenge. And here we go, getting off some of these paint boogers. We're going to start off by getting rid of some paint boogers here that I think add texture but don't really add to the overall benefit. But thinking about this idea of mastery, there's this great book called Be Obsessed or Be Average. And it's this book written by a guy named Grant Cardone. He touches on a really good idea. This idea that, I think it's kind of summarized in the title, like, if you want to get good at anything, which anything good is basically above average, in my opinion. Average is just average. Anything above average is good. So be obsessed or be average. You get good, or even, I think everyone can strive for being great. And because of that, the idea of being obsessed or being average is super powerful. So anyway, I'll share some of the work here, but before that, let me see what Mark Dietz has said. He has some life experience here. Dad was what you call a jack of all trades and master of none. He could do anything from building a house to mechanics to understanding animals, farming. Those men's are a dying breed. So I don't know if you know this, Mark, and honestly, I don't know if this is a made-up story. I saw it on a website somewhere, but the actual quote of what you're saying, jack of all trades, master of none, but here's the other part that most people don't know, jack of all trades, master of none, and then the last part, I don't know exactly verbatim, but it's something like, often better than a master of one. So jack of all trades, master of none, but often better than a master of one. So there you go. I mean, there's this idea. And here's the question, like, what if your dad was a master of many things, right? Like maybe he was just a mechanic. Like, I think people who say people are jack of all trades right now, just like, there's something missing. Someone who's like a jack of all trades, I feel like, has a mastery of something, right? They might seem like they could do a lot of things well, but I think there's something underlying of mastery, like, mechanical mastery, construction mastery, engineering mastery, like, all these different things that you could spend hours and hours on. So, I don't know, maybe calling your dad a jack of all, I mean, your dad better than I could possibly imagine, but I think maybe calling him a jack of all trades, what if it's not a fair statement? What if he really did, in his off time, dedicate a lot of time to studying, construction and all of these things, and because he was able to know how to learn these things, I just feel like, jack of all trades are just thrown around for people that could do a lot of things, but maybe the reality, the truth is that some people who are jack of all trades are actually really good at something, but maybe it's just not like defined in society in a way. But anyway, I don't know, that's my thought. But like I know a lot of people, especially, I don't know how old you are, but my parents' generation, like people that Vietnam or whatever, they were all very mechanical people, I feel. We didn't have typing. Very mechanically inclined people. And I don't know, I just would like to question the term jack of all trades, master of none. It's just like, I think there's more to it. I personally don't like to call myself a jack of all trades, because it suggests that I haven't put in the time and effort into the things that I do, although I have tried a lot of things. Disorganized, I don't mind the word disorganized or manic or still seeking, but jack of all trades, I just never felt like clicked with me. But anyway, I mean, if you dedicate your whole life to, hours and hours, there's some mastery there. Some mastery. And again, 10,000 hours is like, the arbitrary number for like, mastery in the Renaissance, but I think mastery can be achieved with slightly less than that with the right mentors, the right guides. Like, you don't need 10,000 hours to know how to hammer something. You don't need 10,000 hours to learn how to sand wood. So, if someone's really good at sanding wood, they probably only needed maybe 100 hours to become incredibly good at that. So you think of someone who's like a carpenter, a construction person, they've probably spent hundreds of hours doing all sorts of different things and, mastered a lot of small things, which helps them become really good at something. Anyway, just thought there. I could rant on and on about, this philosophical stuff. This generators started life poor and didn't have money to call someone to do things for them, so they did it themselves. Yeah. Exactly. They didn't have, Craigslist to find, or like a Home Depot to go for manual labor, or like, Facebook ads that could help them find the right person for work. But Mark, always great to be able to have these conversations with you and have you pop in and share your ideas. I know I always challenge your ideas, and I hope that doesn't become irksome. I know it can be annoying if someone's always like, oh, well, what about this? What about this idea? But yeah, I mean, definitely open to other people challenging my thoughts too. So anyway, let's get into this. So I've got quite a few things going on here. It has gotten a little messy. I'm quite happy with this head. Mark, you said that this head was doing pretty good, and I agree. I do feel like there's some shadows that need to be worked out on this, but overall, not too shabby. Now this piece is the one that needs the most this one is the most these two need the most work. So what I'm gonna do is pop into here, and I'm gonna let's add in some of our whites. I'm gonna add this in as a light blue, and we're gonna pop in some hair color here. So we're gonna go with some hair color right around the top, right into here. And this eyebrow needs to come down. Yeah, fun little quotes. I'm actually discovering a lot of these quotes have actually deeper ideas. Oh, is he really? Huh. I don't know what happened. Maybe something must have happened and they must have switched. Maybe I must have switched something. Like a... Something must have switched. But here we go. I'm gonna go into this ear and start to add a little bit of coloration here. And now I'm left-handed. I don't know what's going on there, but I don't know how I can adjust. But here we go. I really like how these faces are doing. And a little too bright there. Pull back on my highlight there. Maybe bring in a little bit of green. A little too bright on my highlight there. And then neutralize some of this with a ochre. And there we have that, just neutralizing with some of the ochre here. So Mark has said, let's see, yeah, everything's switching, huh? Everything is switching. So let's find the best areas to lay down this color. This eyebrows, the eyelash is doing okay. Need to neutralize some of the shadow right here. And I think we need a little bit of the shadow. Get some shadow. Make this a little bit reddened with our ochre here. Let's bring in some blue. Just to go into here. So let's get some of the shadow. Gonna get some of the shadow right around the lip here. More subtle shadow right across the tip of the lip. And then just adding a little variety to the color across the forehead here. And let's see. Okay, I like that. I like this. I feel like at this point, these are two heads that I shouldn't really keep touching. They're at a good spot where, you know, they feel cohesive. Maybe a little bit updates into the ear so that the shadows aren't as dark. But other than that, I think we are fairly gold with these two heads. So we're done. I've worked these two heads quite a lot already. So I think, let's see. A little color variety here. You can see subtle transitions of the face here. And I think this is okay. The nose might be a little, oh yeah, this nose needs a bit more shape. So we're gonna go with a blue here. Ugh, I've wasted so much blue for this. challenging thing, I think the most thing about the way I paint is I do a lot of I use a lot of color to get just one color. If that makes any sense. Like for a single color, I might use like a huge thing of paint. Probably should have been a little bit more brushy with that shadow. Stop touching the things that are already good. Maybe a little bit more brushy into here. You know what, it'll just look different once it dries. But that's okay. All right, so let's take a green. So we've got this green color that I was starting to use earlier for certain things. Is the string working okay? So let's see, I started using this green into the eyes. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a little paint over of the eyes. I had this green here that I was using. Like a greenish blue. Let's see, no, that's not it. That needs to be a little darker. I think this is it right here. No? No, that's not it either. What happened to that green? That's one of the problems you face when you use multiple days to paint, is sometimes you can lose a really important color. And then otherwise you gotta like remake it all over again. Because of that, you may or may not get the exact color that you had. Get something close to it. So that's what we're going to do. Something close to it. Let's get this eye right here. Needs to be a bit brighter. This eye. These eyes. So we're going to go... So we're going to use those eyes right there. And then we're going to use another set of eyes for here. And there we go. So these eyes are a little bit brighter, but now that we've got them in, maybe I can add some highlights into these pieces right here. I gotta get my ruler. Once I get this ruler, it helps me paint over the eyes. I need a place upon which to rest my hand. Now let's go down to this side right here. All right. So we've got some of these elements. Now there's a couple things I have to tighten up here. Like this nose up here needs to be tightened up. This nose down here needs to be adjusted. So let's spend some time on these heads, knowing that there needs to be some improvements made. So how am I going to do that? First of all, I need to carve out some of the space here. This nose is like too low. That's not what it was designed, how it was designed. So I'm going to lighten up this yellow here that we have, this yellow, azo medium yellow, I guess we would call it. We're going to go, let's clean off this brush. Clean off this brush. All right, so let's get back to this ruler. Now, you know, this is only how I do it. I use this ruler because I've always wanted I wanted a nice straight edge that was also sturdy enough. But I think the traditional way is like you would have a big wood stick with like a soft tip at the end, so you would set that up against the wall. But I don't have that kind of setup. My space is a little bit condensed. So I have to basically condense my entire setup onto this thing right here. I think that's a little better. It's a little pointy. Just need to round it out a bit, and there we go. So that nose is a little better. It's something that I can work with a little better. And let me see where else I can kind of move things around. That's okay. The hair's okay. Let's go bam, 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 bam. Always love with the textures, creating textures with the brush here. Mark, I hope you're having a fantastic day. I don't know if you're still here, but yes, that is one thing I've noticed about my live streams is I have had a trouble like keeping up with like multiple different conversations with my live streams lately. So let me keep this brush around. I'm going to keep this brush right there. And let's see. So what I want to do right now is I want to start adding some shadow and highlight to these faces. They kind of look a little bit off. So what color do I have here? I have the shadow, which shadow color. Bit more subtle. Make it a bit more subtle in a bit. And then we're going to lighten this up. We got like a nice purple tone. So let's go ahead in here and let's just see how this goes. Oh, that's a really good tone. It's not that value right there. Let's lighten it up even more. Let's try to bring a green into this. Bring in a bit of green. Ended up getting more of a gray, but that's alright. So we're going to go So, let me see, I'm thinking I need some yellow here. Yellow will help to liven this painting. Let's go. Let's go like right here. Something's off, but I will make adjustments here. Let's go into this head. And some of these, this ear is a bit harsh as far as color goes. Need to blend it just a little better. And I want to see where you grew up and see what a once poor man acquired through hard work. Yeah, dude, show me. Let me see. I'm totally, would totally be great to see that. And yeah, let me know. You can send it to my email. If you don't have it, let me know. But yeah, totally open to seeing all that amazing work. Would love to see it. Would love to see what you're talking about. So here we go. Something with this piece. Let's add a little bit of blue into this. All right, now let's do this piece right here. We need to establish our lip. I think we've done enough messing around with this paint over and this face that we need to do something. We need to do something. It's a very complicated mouth. So I want to use a mid shadow for this. The main reason being that let's see, the main reason being that there's a lot that needs to be done with the mid shadow. So this is going to come down. I'm going to carve that out, but just trying to add in some highlights with a mid-tone. Let me add a highlight here. Add some highlights. So get this. So under the nose, we're gonna have right under the nose. We're gonna have a little round shape right here, and then we're gonna go. And then from there, where that shape kind of ends, I think we're going to have this right here, down a little bit, and then pop up. All right, so let's see, mark, crush pad, cash pad, crush pad, not crash pad. I'm not sure exactly what you're trying to say there, Mark. Crush pad or crash pad? I think I must have to interpret something, eh? You know, I like the Canadian word A. I feel like you can say A to anybody after a question, and it's just like, no one ever, it's like hard to say A in a way that's like rude. You know, like if you were to say A, like, Like, get out of my way, eh? Like, even though the get out of my way is very rude, the A part is almost kind of like diffuses that. Not really, but maybe a little bit. So I am struggling with this head, but we will continue to work this until I get it right. I will continue to work this until I get it right. Alright, now let me add some of these darker shadows in. I'm going to go with this red ochre color. Let's go right here. And we're going to go into the shadow. So we're going to get this nose. And then this shadow come down. Let's go with an even darker shadow here. I'm going to go with our black. So let's see. What has Mark said? Mark has said, oh, alright, same thing. I don't know if you're sending it to my email. Let me check my email real quick. Haven't checked it in a few moments. Alright, I don't see anything in my inbox, so I'm guessing you didn't send anything. So, if anything changes, let me know. But while we're at this, this head is going to give me such a complex. I think this is a good ear color because it pops out just a little bit. Hmm. I think this is a good value of black. So I'm actually going to use this to create like a subtle light effect that's happening in our painting, happening in our sketch. And let's go right here. And to there. And this light is probably coming a little too far. Oh, come on. Why can't this be easy? Why can't this just be a simple thing? Why can't everything be easy? So here we go. We're going to also go into this mouth right now. And let's go down from the ear. It's the nose. It's a similar idea here. Shadow from the nose, although that's probably too dark for the shadow. And then we're going to come from the chin. I'm just going to go up the lip. think I know what needs to happen. So I gotta take a smaller brush. I need to work this with a smaller brush that allows me to create sharper edges. But still, before I do that, I want to, let's see, what should I do? Let's establish the nose real quick. Before we do that, I want to establish this nose a little better. So I'm going to go in with my black, mix it with our red, our ochre, and I want to get this nose, I want to fine tune the nose a bit. So tune it down, and we're going to go up with it. And that's a little better. And then let's add in some of the mouth shadows. So this is going to come down. We're going to have quite a lot of shadow around here. Deep shadow in the nose right there. And then let's go like that. Now these two figures are basically merged together. Okay. And I think this one, shadow, the light needs to be a little bit more subtle, so I'm going to come down around here. So the very last thing that I feel like needs lots and lots of work. And I gotta blame it on my own skill. Messages are disappearing. Uh-oh. I'm not modding anything. Maybe it just automatically deletes stuff. Because I don't have any mods in this room that I know of, unless there's somebody trolling right now. Which I doubt is the case. Let's use a little bit of a red, yellow, subtle pink to highlight our lip area. And that's the upper lip. And I think we need a little bit of a lower lip here. So we're going to continue using this color to create a subtle transition period. So where this meets, we're going to have, a piece right here. Jesus. These are the most complicated lips I've ever tried to draw. It is kicking my left shoe. What the heck am I doing wrong? Maybe I need to start adding in these shadows a little better. Alright, so we're going to go with this lip. And I think these shadows, once I have this, let's try this. Trying to find the right brush for this. Alright, let's go with this. We're gonna go nice and dark. Nice and dark. No! This brush is gonna be too big. Might as well use it for something, right? No, I just discovered that this brush would be great for scratchy effects because it's kind of all splayed out. Like all splayed out, very thin bristle brushes. So if I needed something scratchy, this is it. Yeah, it's kind of scratch, 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 scratch. Alright, a little distracted there. Actually, very distracted there. But let's keep going. Stay focused. During my live stream, sometimes when I have nothing to talk about, I literally just spout out what is exactly going on in my head. And I was doing my art show. I had an art show a little while ago, and somebody asked me to tell them about my artwork, these specific pieces I had, and I was like, this is the artwork of someone who's been over-caffeinated. And sometimes that's true. Sometimes I am a little too caffeinated for painting. And my mind is like all over. Like I gotta do this part, I gotta do that part. It's time to go back to this piece. Let me go to that part. Oh, I see this piece needs work. So there's an element of being over caffeinated in some of my work. Not all my work, but some. So let's go like this, and let's hopefully nail this down. So, Good Lord. I don't like to use that word, Lord, but in times like these, sometimes words just come out of your mouth. Look at this. All right, so those of you that want to see what I'm struggling with. So obviously these are based on some models that I'm studying. And for whatever reason, this freaking lip, this nose lip area is absolutely kicking my left foot. I mean, first of all, the whole piece isn't really even that close. But this lip area is just dominating me, and I don't see any end in sight. But the only thing one can do is to keep on doing until eventually something will stick, and hopefully the answers will be clear. Just keep working at it. What must I do? First of all, the nose is too long. All right, this is the time for some measuring and to come up with some decisions. All right, so here we go. Top of that to the tip of the nose, about right there. It's about the size of the nose. Just smaller than the chin. So if I have that, so definitely my noses are too big. I have to redo this thing all over again. Like, it would be fine if all of them kind of like looked similar where my challenges were, but this one piece, if I did that, you know what I could do is I could make the forehead look bigger. Make the forehead proportionally bigger. You know what, the nose isn't that big of an issue. Here I'm talking to myself now because I'm trying to figure out where exactly I need some adjustments. Maybe I just need to blend it. Let's try that. Okay. coming along now. And I think we're making some progress. Clean off this brush. There's so many shadows. Maybe what I need to do is I just need to decide how many values I'm looking at. So I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm looking at 5 values. So, you know, usually what I've been doing is I've been thinking in terms of 3 values. So like a super light, or a light, a dark, and a medium. But for these lips, there's probably about 5 total shades of value that I need to be trying to figure out. Not just a dark or a light, but I also want to try to stay consistent with all these different pieces and what's happening. What to do, what to do. Speaking of which, I just ordered a new set of brushes. Unfortunately, one of the best companies that makes brushes is from the United Kingdom, called, what's their name again? Rosemary & Co. I use their brushes, but every time I order the brushes, they take forever to get there. They take weeks, not months, weeks. Like, I'm almost there, but there's just a tiny bit missing. I haven't quite put my finger on it. Maybe I just need to darken some of my shadows here. And now, although this shadow should be quite dark, just want to barely touch the canvas for this piece. It's not working. Okay. Let's see, how do I do this? Let's see, I'm going to add another shadow. I'm going to come around and create the shape of the lip here. I think we're coming along. I just have to be patient with this multitude of value shifts. Maybe it's the way that this is shaped. I need to shape this lip up a little better. Okay, I actually see some progress. This is positive. I can see some progress just right here where I added in some of the lip shadow. Super subtle progress. Whew, that feels good. Still some more work to be done, but a little progress goes a long way. Honestly, I think this nose needs to come down. It's a little bit exaggerated the way how far up it is. So we're gonna bring this nose down a bit. Going to come down right about there. I like where we're at, actually. Just need to do some modifications. And then I need to do the other part. Okay, so this piece right here. Slowly but surely, like Shirley Temple. All right, so we're gonna come up here, and I need to figure out something to do this eye. This eye has to be a little bit lower, actually. So let's, it's a little bit lower. Let's see. Yeah, it's definitely at an angle. So we're gonna come down with this. Actually bring out a little bit of red. Don't want it too overwhelmingly bright. And we're gonna go top of the eyebrow, which means this piece can come in a bit. Where did I get this nice cool color from? I had this nice cool blue. Must have gotten from here, maybe? Nice cool blue. Ah, this looks like a nice cool blue. And we can bring this in. Oh, that needs to go down even further. And then here we go. We're going to use some of the skin tone. And this is where we're going to blend this area down. Bring out this red, yellow. I think that's going to help us improve our situation. So let's go, this is the eye where the eye comes out. We're going to go darken this a bit and bring in, give this shadow here. On that part out. And it's got the shadow here, so we're going to go and give a nice triangle shadow here. This little triangle shadow. Okay, let's call this the ugly face for now. I do like how the lips are finally turning out. And this part still needs a lot of work, but I think we can actually make some adjustments here now. So let's go like this. We're going to bring in our white. We're going to lower this. This is a little too harsh, this eye, so we're going to round it out a little bit. And then this part needs to be a little lower. Actually, let's figure out, let's add a little bit of light here. And go right into the eyelid. This is still a little too low. Let's see. Let's use a ruler here. This needs to be down a lot more. Other really sophisticated painters wouldn't take this long for lips, because the trick would be literally just to take like a graphite before this even starts, to have it perfectly sketched out, you know, like a drafts person, to have it perfectly sketched out, and then just paint in between your sketch. But sadly, I don't do that. So my painting ends up becoming less efficient. I have to spend more time to do simple things. But at the same time, I think the idea of efficiency, you know, is more of like this modern idea rather than, I really actually enjoy working through some of these problems that arise. So let's go ahead and let's find a good spot for this. So we got the nose right here. And we're going to go, already see some of the shape where that comes along. So that's going to come down, and it's going to meet right there, which means the other lip is going to go right here. And let's get more pink into this. It's just a bit more red. So if you're looking for, like, you know, if you're scrolling through YouTube and you're looking for like some good tutorials, you know, my streams aren't really tutorials. Streams are not tutorials. That's not to say you can't, you know, you can't learn anything from them, but it's not tutorials. Probably brighten up this lip too. You know what? I'm gonna use this color and blend up. Let's see what. Fix that lip a little. I don't like how the the red was pervading into other areas. So here we go. We got this. Maybe go down into here. This is kind of like right where the lip meets. Let's go into the nose. And let's go a little bit darker on our value here. And we're going to go right under the lip here, create like a shadow, a lightness. Super subtle light area. And then this shadow back here is a little too dark. That's probably also what happened is I started to make my light a little bit too strong. And in here, this needs to go. Let's see. It has some black to it, so we're gonna go. Now I see something else wrong. It's down here. This shadow's a bit much. So let's go ahead and lighten that up a bit. I'm gonna go with I don't want to use same typical colors, so we're gonna use some green. And we're just gonna go into this area. Paint over the black. Maybe need some more white here. Didn't expect that. I'm going to try to paint over this large shadow. It needs to be very bright. Ooh, I like that effect. It's kind of a cool effect. And then get right here into the eyelid. I think we're on a roll now. I think we are on a roll to finally getting this piece at a good place. Finally getting this piece at a good place. Okay. Oh, that was stressful. Good stress though, right? This is like learning stress. I do believe there's a such thing as good stress and bad stress. And some stress is definitely self-inflicted. Okay, actually, let's paint in a little bit of a cloudiness here. Right there. And then we're going to give a little bit of wispiness right here. So it's giving like a ghost-like appearance, just some subtle shadows into the eyes. And I probably will have to darken this at some point, at least to create the form that we're looking for here. And I guess the same goes to here. I shouldn't have changed up the color there. So now it looks like once, actually it doesn't look too bad on camera, but when I'm up close, it looks kind of like she got like pink eye or her eyes bleeding or something. When you look up close, but when you're, you know, further away, it doesn't look as bad. But, you know, prepare for both types of people to see your work. Prepare for people to see it up close and for people to see it at a distance. You know, something that I will work on eventually once I better establish what the heck is going on with this mouth. I'm so frustrated with this mouth, these mouths. These mouths have been so frustrating that I would almost be willing to adopt a whole new style just to do it. Not technique necessarily, because I really like the idea that if I draw, like, you know, painting like this without every detail laid out with the pencil beforehand, kind of like creates a spontaneity and uniqueness in the work. But at the same time, like with my personality, I feel like some of the work that gets done, you know, time could be better spent. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. So I need something of a slightly darker value here. I'm going to create some color along the cheekbones. All right. Getting closer, getting closer. That is the best we can aim for right now. The piece that has been kicking my butt for a little while. We'll take a quick break, a little health break, clean up break. I've got all these gloves that I got to throw away. And I need to drink some yogurt. Yogurt is healthy for you people. Drink yogurt. And we'll leave the streaming. So anybody, questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to share them. I am about to drink some Yocool. It's an interesting drink. It is yogurt, but it's like cultured non-fat dairy beverage. So I don't know if it's if the culture in here is alive or what, but it's supposedly really good for digestion. 20 milligrams of sodium. 20 grams of sugar, added sugars. Now, I don't know if that's actually good sugar or bad sugar, but I'm guessing it's not bad for you because it's mostly cultured yogurt sugar, which I guess is how it's made. I don't know if you could have, I guess you could have flavorless yogurt, right? That's quick. Okay. And we're back. I don't know who's still here. But if you are, thank you for sticking around. Thank you for watching. Oh, Huscroft Flooring. What's going on? Every day for a year, a couple years back. Wow, you sent that at 10:22. Alexa, what time is it? Alexa, what time is it?
It's 1:23 p.m.
1:23. Okay, so you just said something. Huscroft Flooring, welcome. Yeah, a couple of years ago, you drew every day for a year, a couple of years back. That's amazing. 365 days straight of drawing. You gotta clap your hands for that. Like, I can't even get a full night's sleep 365 days a year. I haven't even. Actually, you know what? Do I fast? No. Yeah, I mean that is commendable. I'm trying to think of like stuff that you could do every single day, but like I probably missed a day brushing my teeth. Probably didn't have a chance to take a shower one night. So yeah, 365 days of consistent drawing is pretty amazing. But I got my drink now. I'm feeling refreshed. my digestive system is working in a positive way, I think, I hope. I haven't seen a gastroenterologist, whatever you call those doctors that do stomach, whatever, but getting some of the paint boogers off. So Huscroft, what did you what made you want to do 365 days of drawing? And how did that turn out? Did you document your experience? Did you how did that turn out? I'm trying to find something to What was your purpose for drawing? Like, you have to have some purpose. Like, it's hard to do anything consistently unless you feel like there's some sort of calling for you to do it. Like, you have to really have a desire to do something. You're gonna consistently do it for 365 days straight. You know, give or take a couple days, right? But still, I like this painting where it's at. We made some big improvements on these faces, and I think the only way from here is up. Famous last words. So anyway, famous last words. The only way from here, the only way we can go from here is up. All right. So let's see how we're gonna do this. I do like a little bit of what's coming out of this. Is it's like this this Art Deco feeling kind of painting. Feels kind of Art Deco, which is great. I like Art Deco. So let's go like right here. We'll go. Bring that down. And this shadow right here is feeling a little too up. And here we go. Guess you just needed to get something out of you. Yeah, that's amazing. Great story there about, you know, just picking a hobby and sticking with it, or, you know, something you needed to do professionally. I don't know, but you felt like, you know, it sounds like you felt like you had some sort of calling there. Something was calling you to draw, and you did it, which is absolutely fantastic. So honestly, I feel like the amount of work that I need to do on this painting is still quite a bit, but I've reached a point where it's starting to feel stale. Like, obviously there's still so much work to do, but it feels kind of stale. Let's see what else I can possibly manage to put into here before I start my next painting. That's what I want to get at. Isn't that I'm done with this or I'm quitting. It's that I'm ready to work on a different project. So I think these heads are okay. But these heads need some deeper shadows. So that's what we're going to go for. We're going to go for some shadows. And for these shadows, let's go with like a purple, like into this head area. It's kind of like funky, right? Like, what the heck is going on there? So let's go like this. We're gonna go. Hey Kat, I'm live streaming. You're on speaker. What's up?
Oh, hey, I just have a short break before the next class.
Oh, cool. All right. Well,
Yeah,
good to
so-
hear from you.
Yeah, so I'll let you get back. I guess the bird is being very friendly.
Yeah.
Well, cool. How's it going with your streaming?
The painting's good. I think got a new viewer that I'm not familiar with. Huscroft.
You got props?
Huscroft. That's the name of the visitor is Huscroft.
What's the name of the what?
The viewer.
The viewer?
The person watching my live stream
oh, I see.
that I don't necessarily know.
I thought you meant like items to hold.
Huh.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay, well, I'll let you get back. I'll be done pretty soon. Thank goodness.
All right.
Okay. Talk to you later.
All right. Talk to you later, babe.
Bye.
See ya. Bye. All right. So we're gonna continue on with this and generate these shadows here. So one thing is like into these shadows we go. This one also needs some shadows. You know, I think now is a good time to kind of edit. Edit our shadow. A bit. Let's tighten up these shadows. You know what? I was about to like try to start on a new piece. Let's keep working on this a little bit longer. Just to get some details going. And here we go. I was about to start another piece, but I think there's still some stuff that can be done here. I mean, that was the whole point of, I guess, of what I was saying earlier, was there's all sorts of stuff that can be done, but it's starting to feel kind of stale. And maybe that's, you know, part of the process is sticking with something through. It's not like I'm quitting, but just this idea that you know, if I see the same thing, if I keep working on the same thing over and over for far too long, it starts to kind of just mesh together, and I feel like you start to lose some of the initial draw of the project. All right, got that shadow. Let's tighten up this shadow up here. So where am I from? How old am I? What inspires me to paint? Oh my goodness, Huscroft, you it's funny because I usually try to ask that of people that pop in, but I haven't. So I switched my live stream from vertical to horizontal, and that means I haven't been getting as many viewers lately because for whatever reason YouTube does this thing. And when I was getting lots of viewers, that was the first question I would ask everybody that popped in. But since since I've switched this live stream style, I haven't gotten as many people, and I totally forgot what I had that idea that I wanted to set out to do. So I will answer that question, but I just wanted to share. Like, thanks for that reminder of you know, some of the questions I enjoyed asking when I saw new people. But where am I from? I live in Los Angeles. Born Chinese, if that was part of the question as well. Usually it is. So yeah, I live in Los Angeles, born Chinese. Let's see. Born Chinese, live in Los Angeles. Born Chinese, live in Los Angeles. What was the question? I would call myself mentally in my 20s and physically, but chronologically, I'm not in my 20s. And by that, I mean, I check my VO2 max when I do exercise and stuff. My VO2 max is pretty good. It's of someone in their 20s. And mentally, I think I would say 20s. Yeah, thank you for checking in. That question. What about you, Huscrop? You sure go with 20s? I'll just say just go with 20s, hey? I think with this shadow, there needs to be a lot more work, but do without that shadow. See, it's just because like I changed my style from the beginning. I was thinking I was just gonna do kind of like basic colors, just a basic color, like just two-tone, really dark black with another color. But then I found so many interesting ways to paint that just didn't turn out to be how I'm doing this. And it's all transforming here right before my eyes. Which means basically the dark shadow that I use, these blacks, are just kind of taking away, I feel. So I got to figure out how to subtleize it. But yeah, born in China. Grew up in the good old United States of the USA. United States. And yeah, that's about right. So here we go. How are we gonna brighten up this space? We're gonna brighten up this space, improve some of these. Round this lip out a bit. You've got an I Ching. So I Ching is like fortune telling, right? I Ching is like a bunch of sticks, isn't it? It's not like it's not like an individual object, from my understanding, unless I have what you're saying wrong. But from my understanding, it's not just one thing. I mean, correct me. I'm looking to know exactly what you're talking about. Know what I'm gonna do? Take this brush. I need to go into the blues here. Take my really dark blue and create these shadows for this piece. So that's the hair. We're gonna have a piece coming down on the side of the hair here. Actually, use the highlight first. I'm gonna go like here. I'm gonna bring a piece right there. Another piece right there. Bring this piece around. And this piece is going to come down. Go up like so. And what we're also going to do is we're going to add highlights onto this hair here. So we're going to braid it a bit. And that's where we're going with the dark blue. Mark Dietz back. It's mutual to how I interpret it. Yes, it could be used for fortune, but use it more as philosophy type thing. Hard to explain, pointless. Well, that's cool that you get to that you have found different uses for the I Ching. That's awesome. So I'm actually going to take this blue. I'm going to use it to add more highlight into our hair piece here, just to create a better separation of values. Give it a more 3D look as opposed to a flat look. Not totally 3D, but enough to trick the eye just a little bit into where someone will go, oh wow, look at that, it's kind of 3D. It's kind of three-dimensional. Piece right there. A piece right there. And I'm not too fussy about hair, so just want enough just to be able to say I did it. Just enough to say I cared. Now I feel like it's a little too bright, a little too washed out. But that's all right. We'll figure it out. So let's go into this one with shadow. But we can actually kind of merge some of the blue here. Let's do a little bit of emergence. Various little pops of personality. Let's call these pops of personality. You know, what goes on in the background is just a pop of personality. Let's go. Oh yeah, Mark Dietz is back. Welcome back, Mr. Dietz. Mr. Dietz is back. And I'm sure Mr. Dietz has a story to tell. You got a story to tell, Mark? Anything to share with the world? One thing that will never cease to amaze me is this idea that on these live streams that I am literally broadcasting to a potential audience of everybody on the planet that has internet. And it's so easy to like kind of take it for granted, you know? Be like, oh well, you know, it's just how it is today. Like, you know, everybody can live stream. That everyone can just live stream, sure, but like it is just so powerful to do so, to be able to do something for everybody on the planet or in front of. Now obviously I'm not reaching that big of an audience, but it's kind of cool to think about, right? So anytime like we're chatting, anytime I'm just like chatting with anyone about anything, I'm like, you know, even if this isn't, you know, millions or even billions or even 100 people watching, it's like interesting to think that a conversation is having an effect. So, not one to just make a background boring. So I gotta add my own little punches to it. My little punches of color, pops of color if we don't want to be violent. I guess pop is a bit of a violent word too. Just one impressive in this quality too. Live streams are pretty freaking unreal. Confucius is cool. Do I know much about Confucius? Let me take a break here. Honestly, I don't know much about Confucius. I think I heard somewhere, I read recently, that actually Confucius, the teachings of Confucius, were actually, like, he had so much writing, and then there was like a war, and then a warlord, and then some warlord took over Confucius's writings. They burned them, and then they had some left over in some house, and this warlord decided to take all of Confucius' writings and then have a professional writer plug in his own ideas, and that became what is known as Confucius' writing. Now, I don't know if I have the full story on that, I don't know if it's like eventually they figured out what Confucius' real words were versus this warlords, but where I think that's a really powerful idea is that some of what we know about Confucius, I might even have the totally wrong person, but so much of what we know about Confucius is basically a lot of his work has been thrown away or burned by ancient Chinese warlords. Now again, that could have been a different philosopher that I'm actually talking about. But yeah. Just one is impressive. Thank you, Hooscroft. Appreciate you. So Hooscroft, can you tell us about your practice, your flowing practice? What is your pitch to the universe? By the way, my channel is totally open to commercial conversations. So any artist that pops into my room that decides that, hey, they want to like kidnap my audience. I have had that before. Someone that just comes in here, talks about some of the work that they're doing, that their live stream is going to be starting soon, and they really just wanted to have people go to the live stream. And that's cool, you know, unusually enough, that is cool to me. That is fine to me. No hard feelings. But the reason why I even said that is to just share this idea that you know, I'm totally open to commercialism. So if you or someone you know has an idea or product that you'd like to share, definitely feel free to. Feel free to talk about the things that you are proud of. So here we go. I will have to adjust that baby's cranium. This baby's cranium is funny looking. Cranium. A little too dark. That's what we have paint for. Paint is meant to be reworked. I don't think I would have been able to be an artist back in like the 1500s. Because materials were so precious back then. Like imagine what you would have to go through just to get a little bit of paint. Like basically some people, they had to like travel across continents, have like a royal king or queen approve a trip and provide you with the fleet, a military fleet that allowed you to travel across the ocean from, let's just say, the British Empire to the Silk Road in China to purchase some colors, some colored materials that you could use as pigment to mix with oil or egg tempera. And you had to mix that, and you had to go purchase it from these you know, civilizations, and you had to make a deal, and then you had to like deal with raiders, and you had to first of all convince someone with enough money and resources to be willing to provide that transportation, and then you had to go get the materials, bring them back, and then you had to find the time to be able to even use them. I definitely would not have been an artist in a previous lifetime because I experiment way too much. I play around way too much. and the preciousness of materials just, I don't think, honestly, I don't think if I was an artist back in the day, I would have loved art so much that I would travel continents to find certain colors. I don't know, maybe I would. Maybe I would. But maybe I wouldn't. Thank goodness for those people that helped to develop the paint tube. So you're just one of these old type of guys that likes working with hands. Recently started to get really interested in computers, coding, 3D modeling. Yeah, 3D modeling's pretty great. I like 3D modeling, but oh yeah, my title cracked. My title. What is my title right now? I can't really remember. Something about 10,000. Anybody? Oh, anybody can get good at about 17.5, master 17.5 things in their life. I guess, so I do these live streams for a long time. Usually I start the live stream by basically explaining what the premise of the title is. And I tend to lose sight of that concept throughout the live stream. But yeah, I mean, I was basically going for this idea that, let's say someone with an average human being with a lifespan of about 80 years, if they dedicate 6 hours a day, and we go by the 10-hour rule, or 10,000 hour rule, that if you spend 10,000 hours doing something, you basically get really good or master it. And if you spend 6 hours a day, which is, I believe that's probably what people have on average to do anything, right? So 8 hours of sleep, 8 hours for work, 2 extra hours for anything else, and you've got 6 hours where if you could, I mean, it's really hard to even find those 6 hours, but just for hypothetical sake, you know, you do that over 80 years and you can master 17 and a half things. So that was the idea. And even digging deeper, if you subtract 20 years, so say everybody doesn't really start to mature and figure out what they want to master until they're in their 20s, let's just say 60 years to master something. Obviously some people live longer, some people, you know, whatever, but 60 years to master something, 6 hours a day, you master about 13 things. Now obviously if you cut that in half, 3 hours a day, you can master about even 6.5 things. But that's still a lot to be considered a master at 6 things. Most people don't even master like 2. Or even dream of mastering anything. And as Mark and I were talking about earlier, you know, like some things, they don't take 10,000 hours to master, like hammering a nail into like a block of wood. I'm sure there's like great techniques and you could spend forever searching how to figure that out, but like, you know, if someone was to spend time nailing something for like 100 hours, maybe 200, let's just say even 1,000 hours, I would consider them a master of hammering a nail. And hopefully, you know, they've expanded their repertoire to not just hammer one nail into one type of wood, but like hundreds of types of wood. That was just an example, but I'm sure there's stuff like that. But then, you know, as you're saying, right, you're getting into 3D modeling. 3D modeling, 10,000 hours, you can become a master. I feel like that's, you know, something like that, or like math, learning itself. Mark was talking earlier, like, you know, he knew someone he knew was a jack of all trades. And, you know, how does one become a jack of all trades? I think that's a term that's overused and doesn't really capture what a jack of all trades is. You know, jack of all trades is someone who absolutely loves to learn. They can learn a lot of different things. They're good at learning. Or maybe they're only good at learning of one very specific topic. which could range from computers to carpentry to construction to whatever it is out in the world. I think right now, do a little bit more on this lip, and I need a break. How thick do I want lip shadow to be? Just thick enough. So let's go in. We're gonna go with this. So that was the idea. What do you think? What do you think? Who's Croft? Are my ramblings just pseudo scientific ramblings with no real use, or do you find them fun to discuss? I think that's one of the challenges of life is finding people you can discuss things that interest you with. And here we go. I don't know how much better I can make this. Let's actually blend some of this color into here. So we're going to go right up into there. gonna come up a bit. I might just have to leave it as this like semi-surreal feeling painting. Alright, that's a little better. It's fun ramble. It's definitely a challenge to find people interesting to ramble with, for sure. Thank you. Thank you for recognizing that. Rambling, ramble. That's what I do. So let's see here. We're going to go down deeper into this. But I consider part of the art, the rambling, helps me to free my mind a bit, some of this rambling. Ah, here we go. I see something that needs some work. So this part needs to come out just a little further. Bring this part out. Yes, it's coming. It is coming along. And this is what needs to happen now. Let's go into here. Do the same thing. Bring that lip area down. That's okay. That's actually okay. I think this is starting to work out a little better. some positive movement forward. Good. All right. All right, well, I need to take a break here. I'll probably be back in a little bit. But right now is about a time when my mind starts to kind of like shut down at about the 2.5 hour mark. Actually, it's not really shutting down, it's just things are starting to kind of... It's like you've been at work for, after coming back from vacation. Or it's like just before the end of a quarter, just before you're going on vacation, and you've had a long week, work, whatever, since your last vacation. You're kind of just like going through the day, ready to take a break, and a lot of this stuff just kind of starts to. A lot of the ideas just start to kind of like fade in your mind. And although I'm not going on vacation, I'm trying to share how my brain feels after like 2 hours painting. Sometimes I go longer, but I find like 2 to 3 hours to be the sweet spot for detail work. And then everything else comes, between somehow. But we're gonna take a break. And we will be back in a little bit, maybe a few hours, maybe 1 hour. Not sure yet, but those of you that came in, Hooscroft and Mark, always thanks for... Oh, when did I start? So when did I start today? So I started about 2.5 hours ago. Physical painting itself, yeah, let's have a conversation. So physical painting itself, I started painting a little over a year ago with oil paints. So I started painting a little over a year ago with oil paints, but before that, I spent a couple years just drawing and doing digital art. So I never really started to, I didn't touch oil or any sort of physical painting until like last summer-ish. But a few years ago, I was doing digital art, and I had some really great mentors doing digital art, but digital art just wasn't for me. It was one of those things where there's like, it's amazing, it's absolutely fascinating and incredible what you can create using digital art, and like how versatile it is, and how you can like, spread it all around, to change a design. Like if you're designing pillows or something, I have a friend that designs pillows. They basically come up with one simple design, and then they do it in like 20 different colors, and then they've got like instantly got 20 different designs for pillows, and then they just do print on demand sales of that. Digital, no feeling. No feeling. Would I say no feeling? Would I say no feeling about digital art? Hard to say. Yes, I guess definitely that part of it is no feeling. But I think with digital art, it was it was so technical. It was just like so technical that like it would pull me out of my head a lot of times. like, you know, I would be doing some digital art and suddenly I'd be like, oh, what was that tool that I need to do? Like, oh, what was that tool that my mentor taught me to do to make the certain areas darker but the surrounding area brighter? Or like whatever. So like instead of staying deep into that creative process, like I would be pulled out of it, and you know I would be trying to think of this tool, and I would spend like an hour looking for the exact tool. I would rewatch the video training, and you know it'd be like half an hour in, I found the tool, and that would like pull me out of like an art piece so easily. Whereas, and then of course like don't even get me. I mean, you can get me started in AI. I don't have too much to say. I think AI is here to stay, but the power of AI is only going to improve. And I was like, there's no way. Like I was seeing people pump out all this AI art. Like I had this mentor who was telling me he at one point he worked for a really big video game company, and the video game company was the manager was like this was some manager like remote manager, and the manager who was supposed to make art was literally outsourcing to like these people in some other country that can do art for very cheaply, and they were using digital art. So this manager who was responsible for a team at a well-known like I think it was like a video game company was outsourcing art to some random people somewhere that were basically using AI to come up with the ideas. And you know, when I started to hear stuff like that, I was like, you know, I'll let the digital artists, you know, try to compete with AI or whatever. But I'm gonna move to physical. So you know, a lot of things came together that I was just like, you know, digital art's not for me. It just too many tools, too many. You know, I feel like you could just spend a lifetime figuring out how to paint. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess you could spend a whole lifetime figuring out digital art too. Every new tool, but that's like mastering tons of different skills. You know, like you got to master how to use the line tool, how to use the coloring tool, how to use the fill tool. But I feel like with physical painting, it's like, you know, just learning how to paint. But anyway, little rant there about digital art versus physical art. I think digital art's great, just not for me. There's definitely feeling, but I feel like not only would I get stuck in a perfectionist state in digital art, because I'd be like, oh, this looks off. There's like, you know, absolutely no. There's no excuse for something to be imperfect with digital art, especially when you can literally just like trace so easily. Whereas for physical, you know, art like this, I feel there's a bit more freedom. Definitely more feeling when you're using like a huge brush, like 10 different brushes, all different sizes. You get different feelings with each of them. But at the same time, yeah, it just feels different. So, hope that was helpful. Hope that gave you some insight or whatever, or you were able to connect with somebody who shares some similar thoughts. But again, nothing against digital art. Very specific personalities will do very well in digital art, but it's not me, not I. Have a great day.